I'd like to start by thanking President Carr and the Board of Governors for the tremendous honor of receiving an honorary degree from Concordia University. It is greatly appreciated. As a psychiatrist and neuroscientist, the last 8 months have been particularly poignant for us as we've dealt with the COVID-19 pandemic. It's striking to me that so much attention is given to a daily count of people who contract COVID-19 and die from COVID-19, and much less attention is being given to the extraordinary mental health consequences of the pandemic, particularly the lockdown, the loss of employment, and social isolation that have resulted. We know that in the United States, we've seen something like a 30 to 40% increase in drug abuse. And this is starting from a sky-high level with an opioid epidemic and an increase in the use of cocaine and other stimulants that we've seen in the last decade, a 30 to 40% increase. We've also seen about a 20 to 30% increase in suicide rates, secondary to depression, isolation, and related conditions. So we are facing a second epidemic. People talk about a second wave of COVID-19. I talk about the second wave being the mental health consequences of the pandemic, not so much the infection per se, but what it's done to our society and limited the scope of our lives. The importance in all this, of course, is resilience. And this is something that I've had the privilege of studying in my own laboratory over the last couple of decades, is to understand what it is that makes some individuals better able to cope with horrendous stress than others. And we have the obligation now to work with every member of our society to optimize people's resilience, to build their resilience so that they could cope with these extraordinary circumstances that none of us have had experience with in the last many decades. In thinking about notes of resilience, and this is an area in which I've invested some of my own research over the years, I've thought of two incidents that I would share. As a graduate student at Yale University back a long time ago, over 45 years ago, I spent the entire first year in my graduate student laboratory not having a single experiment work. I took on a scientific question that required some technical innovations and essentially spent more than a year to be able to overcome the technical obstacles. There were times in those months when I felt down in the dumps. I remember telling my PhD advisor that I had the opposite of the Midas touch, that instead of everything turning to gold, everything just turned to useless garbage because I could not get a single experiment to work. Yet that year that was very painful at times, gave me the confidence to persevere ever since. That in times in my life since that point, with grant applications, journal reviews, challenges in the research as well, I knew that I would be able to overcome whatever obstacle came my way. And I've tried to impart that same degree of resilience and perseverance to my graduate students and postdoctoral fellows. That one of the ingredients of success is to work hard and persevere. You don't want to bang your head against the wall, but you do want to keep trying and not give up too easily. Because if you try in a smart way, one does overcome very serious technical obstacles. it underscored to me the importance of second chances. And too often in life, we do not give individuals the leeway to make mistakes. Life has to be perfect. Sometimes our young people are raised to feel that there's no room for them to make a mistake or deviate from preset notions of how a student should be. And of course, that's great when a student can do that, but many students can't. And particularly these days when our students are faced with pressures that are far greater than I ever faced when I was in school. And I'm a big believer in offering individuals second chances and allowing people to achieve spectacular careers in perhaps more indirect ways, overcoming obstacles along the way. In graduate school, I had one of the most fabulous PhD mentors, Paul Gringard, who later won a Nobel Prize. Paul was like a father to me. He was about 25 years older than I was. I met him when I was not even 20 years old and just fell in love with his laboratory and learned so much from him. I learned a lot more than just how to do science. Paul obviously was an extraordinary scientist, and I learned a tremendous amount about how to do the right kind of science. I also learned how to be a great mentor. And one of the things that I noticed in my relationship with Paul is that he remained a mentor to me long after I finished graduate work. And I have tried to pay that forward in my own career in working with my own graduate students, postdocs, and young faculty to be available to them to help them with their science, but also to help them with the stress that inevitably comes along with a life in academia, in industry, government, or whatever. I think we are all recognizing the importance of mentorship for everybody, but we certainly need more women mentors. We need more Black and Latinx mentors. Let me just round it out with some congratulatory remarks. It is my great honor to receive an honorary degree from Concordia University, and I want to wish today's graduates all the great success on your accomplishments and future success in your lives and careers. But I do hope to get up to Montreal again, one of my favorite cities in the world, and celebrate with Concordia. I do know about Concordia's mission in providing an education and opportunities for a diverse population. I'd like to add that both of my parents were the first in their families to go to college. They both went to Brooklyn College, which is part of the City University of New York, and their education opened up opportunities for them that changed their lives and changed my life as a result as well. I'm a big believer in the opportunities that are offered by education and career development and second chances, and not always doing things in a straight line. So, all best wishes for a lifetime of success, productivity, and happiness. Thank you very much.